Hey, in this video, I am going to break down what I would look for in a camera with an intended purpose for YouTube and or content creation, marketing, things like this, or just making content. Now, I've boiled this list down to this basically, which has helped me not to keep investing in new equipment, because I feel like if I have these major things, which it's like 10 things, I don't need to always be upgrading. And if I feel like if I stick within the things of this list, and I feel like if I share this with you, it won't matter whether there's always this new fandangled camera to come out. So I feel like if you can cover these bases, you will invest in something that's going to cover you for the most part for having high quality content on, say, YouTube or IG or stories, or if you're using it for marketing or just making very nice content creation. Okay, most likely you're going to be spending around $600 to $1,000. You're probably going to be in that range, okay, covering all of these things. Number one, ease of use. The body of the camera is easy to use. So I was coming from a background of using DSLR cameras like the 5D, Mark 1, Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV, like this, right? So the button layout, I'm used to that. You know, I use it professionally, so I wanted something that would be kind of like similar. So if I were to go to something like Sony's a little bit different, and I didn't really like it. I actually played around with some Sony cameras back in the day, and they still have a different layout, I believe. That new Sony camera that came out, that's the vlogger's camera, I haven't played around with it personally, but I feel like if you got to do the research. If it covers all these things that I talk about in this list, then I'd say that's a good camera. Okay. For me, I use a lot of Lumix, Panasonic cameras. I'm recording with the GH5S right now with like a pancake lens. I love it. The layout of the camera and everything, all the buttons and everything is very parallel to a Canon camera. I'm familiar with it, right? So the learning curve for this camera and touching the buttons and everything, and me going back and forth and using, say, a Canon camera, I don't feel like I forget stuff. I feel like everything is intuitive for me. So choose something that's kind of like up your alley, familiar. And if not, like, hey, like I said, these are things for me. Number two, the screen. Is it durable and does it flip? So for me, I really hated Sony's very weird, very poorly built, I thought, like weird sort of like weird motion like this, and it ran into things sometimes if like there was some of those bodies that did that. So for me, I always needed to come out from the side like this, and hopefully not running into anything here. Like this camera, for example, this is the, what is this? G85, yeah. So if I were to input my external mic, which I often do, it runs into this, it'll knock it like that. I'll have to unplug the mic, and then I can flip it and turn it and all that stuff. The GH5S, you can flip it, and probably the GH5, you can flip it, doesn't run into anything. So that's nice. Little things like that, it may seem minor right now, but when you use it for constant content creation like I do, maybe I make one video a week or something like that, more often if I'm feeling good, I want something that can just be very easy to use, and I don't have to worry about little things like that. I also want it to be very durable and be able to protect. So if I put this in a bag, I don't want to be able to just leave this screen open to the elements, open to scratches, open to my own human error. So I always love that if it can turn around and kind of like protect itself. I'm always thinking about durability because I'm just coming from like a wedding photographer background, so just things happens to gear. And number three, Wi-Fi access. Wi-Fi is really good if you want to be able to manually control your camera. What I use it for primarily is not to like send photos to my phone or nothing like that. I don't really do that because I'm most likely going to edit it or something, or it's too large to send over, and that's kind of annoying. What I use Wi-Fi for is to connect to my phone so I can make sure that I'm in focus. So if I'm using this camera, for example, the autofocus on this, there's a lot of back focusing going on because you're using a different lens. Like I'm using a full, like a prime lens. through the Metabones to this Lumix Micro Four Thirds, it's not as responsive. Even after all the money you spend on this, it doesn't react the same way as if you were to put like a straight up native Panasonic lens on this body. You know what I'm saying? So I always want to make sure that if I'm using something that where the focus is not always 100% accurate, I want to be able to see and make sure and be able to make sure that I'm focused with the phone. Another thing too with the phone is that maybe I'm maybe creating a lot of content or something like this, or maybe I'm having two bodies going at the same time. I want to be able to record from the phone. Like I can hit record on the phone, and that's great. So it acts like a remote. Okay, number 4, interchangeable lenses. So there's a lot of great, really great cameras out there, and they're hitting all these specs. You know, it's 4K, it's this and that, it's bokeh, it's like, you know, 2.5 aperture and all this stuff. But then you can't change the lens, and I get it because it's trying to be compact. It's trying to be, you know, put it in your pocket, like that new Sony vlog camera that came out. But I'm coming from a background of using prime lenses and used to changing different, you know, focal lengths and things like this. So, albeit now I rarely change lenses, but I always get to that point where I'm like, dang, I wish I could change this lens. And then in the past, I would have that attitude and be like, crap, I don't have the camera, you know, like, yeah, I saved some money, but now I feel like I have to upgrade my camera again. So I always look for something where I can change the lens. And this was great that Metabones came out with this attachment so that I could use all my prime lenses if I wanted to do that. If I wanted to, you know, use my 50 or use my macro or use the 70-100, whatever, right? Like I can use it. So I really like the fact that I have flexibility there. And this is granted if you even have any lenses. I'd say if you're just starting out and you don't have anything, and this is, maybe you're looking at this video and being like, well, what should I choose for a vlog camera? I'd say the interchangeable lenses thing is probably not something that would be on your radar. But if you're a gearhead and you're buying gear and you like gear, you're gonna buy another camera, or you're gonna want to buy another lens. So maybe have that capability for yourself. Number 5, external audio. This camera is great because it has that hot shoe here, where I barely use it, and I really just put like an external mic, like the Rode mic or something. External audio. You need to be able to capture external audio in one way or another. If you want to up the quality of your content. Audio is like number 1. And I'm super guilty of this, where I'm like, I'm so lazy and I don't, you know, capture external audio. I'm doing it now. I'm just capturing shotgun audio here, but we have a nice quiet day today. There's nobody in the house. There's no gardening going on, so I'm not worried about audio interference and things like that. But yeah, audio is a big deal. If you want to create high quality content, and say you wanted to make an ad or something like this, something a little bit more upscale than just a vlog of you talking into the camera, you got to upgrade the audio. Okay, so have that capability. Or if you don't know what I'm talking about, external audio meaning being able to capture, say, besides the mic that's on the body of the camera. If I didn't make that clear, I think I didn't make that clear. So here, without an external microphone, where's even the, I think it's here, like these two little things. I'm not really sure because I never use the on body mic. I think it's here because I see these two little holes, and that's where audio is captured, and it's really terrible. It's very echoey, it's very hollow, sounds like I'm very, very far away, right? So that's a big deal. Okay, number 6, again, no in particular order. It's got to be 4K at least, and at least capture things at 24 frames per second. So I always want the capability to capture something cinematic if I want to. I don't often do it, but every now and again, we've got to make an ad for, or a highlight video for something that, you know, professional that we're doing, or for we're marketing something here. So I just want that cinematic feel. I want to be able to do that. You know, I want the options. I don't want to ever be stuck with equipment where I'm like, oh, but my camera can't do that. You know, I just wanted to, I'm at a point in my life and in my career when I'm like, yeah, we got the equipment. So it's really, for me, that was important for me. But at least if you can't do the 24 frames per second thing, at least the 4K, because everything is at least 4K nowadays. Right now they're coming out with like 5K, 8K, all kinds of stuff, but at least 4K. Number 7, very important, be able to do manual settings for video. So it should be like an M near a video camera or something like that, like it is on this Lumix, like it is on that Lumix. Being able to adjust the frame rate, the ISO, the focal length, the aperture, all that stuff, not the focal length per se, the aperture, being able to adjust all that so that when you're shooting, maybe you want shallow depth of field, maybe you don't, maybe you want to capture 2 subjects in the frame, maybe you don't, maybe it's low light, maybe it's super bright, right? All that stuff. So you want to be able to manually adjust your camera. Number 5, to me, when I'm buying a video camera for creating content, I don't want to lug around DSLR. I don't want to buy something that's not made for video. It's got to be made for video. If I'm using, say, I used to do this before, like I used to use my 5D Mark I to do very high quality video, in terms of picture quality. But man, it was such a pain in the neck because it wasn't made for video. Yes, it can do video and it can capture like, I don't know what it was, 16 minutes of video before it automatically turned off or something back in the day. Yeah, I want something that's made for video. So like my Lumix GH5S, it can take photos, but honestly, it's shit compared to my Canons. I mean, in terms of usability, and you can argue that, but I could take a way better photo with my Canon made for taking photos, like the 5D Mark IIIs or 4s and stuff like that. Way better photos, just way better usability in the hand versus the Lumix GH5S. And yeah, I could take a good photo, and I do that sometimes when I'm being lazy. But for video, aces. Oh yeah, and I was talking about Micro Four Thirds. So I would never use a big bulky DSLR anymore. And I got the pancake lens, about $200, just right under $200, because it's so light. And like when you're doing video, you're managing so many other things than just the photo. There's a big difference between capturing photo and capturing video. And with video, there's just a lot more moving parts. There's the audio, there's the video, there's the frame rate, there's the focus, and most likely if you're like me and you're creating content on your own, that you're not behind the camera, you're also the talent or the speaker. So you're not really paying attention to that, right? So you want something that can kind of run on its own after you set it up, and not have to be finagled with and on all kinds of stuff as you're recording your content. You kind of want that to be brainless, even though it's not. All right. 6, I covered this, made for video. 7, DC power. So direct current power, being able to plug it in. This, I just never thought of this until like last year. I was like, dude, why am I messing with all these batteries? Like, let me just plug in. If I'm just going to create content at home and I'm going to use it for marketing or promoting my business or whatever, just plug it in, like don't worry about it. And make sure that you get a camera that doesn't deal with like overheating issues. I don't know if this is still the case with Sony, but that was just a big deal with Sony back in the day. And I just kept hearing it over and over again. And I'm like, Sony, you know what? I know you got the best glass and all this crap, but your shit overheats and I can't deal with that. If I'm just trying to make content, I'm not trying to spend hours trying to finagle or wait for my camera to cool down. And I've dealt with that before, and it's just such a headache. So I never deal with any overheating powers. I record well over 2 hours sometimes doing podcasts and stuff with these cameras, these Lumix cameras, and they're not top of the line or anything. Like I bought this, I don't know, 2018 or something like that, like not a long time ago in terms of gear and in terms of tech. So yeah, just being able to plug it in, don't have to worry about batteries. Number 8, yeah, like I said, no automatic shutoff. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Some cameras have it's like a metering timer or something like this. I'm not sure why. I think it has to do with like, again, overheating issues or something having to do with the battery. I forget. I don't know the technicality of it. But if it has an automatic shut off at 30 minutes, that's not the camera for you. Especially if you're first starting out making content, you probably are like doing things over and over again and kind of nervous. And before you know it, time flies when that's going on, when you're making content. And 30 minutes have gone by and you haven't made your 2-minute video yet. You haven't captured it yet. You know, you just want a camera that can just roll, so that when you take it into post-processing, you're just like, cool, I can just wipe all that and fast forward all the way to 47 minutes because I wrote it down somewhere, and cut to that point where my video is good. You don't want anything that would just automatically shut off on you. That is annoying. Number 9, same thing, like I was saying, no overheating. Number 10, stabilization. This is not as important, but I kind of threw it in there. It was something that sold me on the Lumix GH5S. I knew it was going to be a great video camera, but then we start talking about all these like 5-way gimbal system, whatever, access, whatever. I was like, cool. That one time when I go away to Canada or Vancouver or wherever I'm going to travel and I want to vlog it, I want it to be steady. So I'm a kind of person with gear, and I've done this so many times before where I was like, I'm just going to get the cheaper one because that's, you know, that's all I need right now. And after doing that probably like 5 or 6 times with some gear, I was like always wishing I had something, always wishing I had this, always wishing I could do this. And then I was like, screw it, you know what? I want the best. And I was like, let's get the GH5S, you know? And that's how I landed with that. And so I've had no complaints with that whatsoever. And I got a pancake lens on it. It's fantastic. I love this camera. Turn it on. Works always. No problems. Let's talk numbers. GH5S retailed at $2,500. I think we got it for $2,000 when I got it. G85 right here, this guy, $999, $998, $997 sometimes. I think it's a lot cheaper, but what I was saying, like in the beginning, you're probably going to be spending at least $600 to $1,000 to be getting your hands on these things that I'm talking about in the list. When you start getting into these aspects or features in a camera, you start spending some serious money. And I call that serious. Yeah, that's serious. Metabones, this one in particular that you know, they have for different brands. Because I have Canon prime lenses, I needed to get this one, which is the Metabone Speed Booster XL EF2 Mount T. I don't know what that means. It just means I can use Canon prime lenses on it with my micro 4/3 body. And from Lumix to Canon, that was like $600. I was like, holy cow. So things are not cheap, but they are investments. And what I'm telling you is, with this list, I feel that I never want for anything, which I think in the long run works in my favor as a regular content creator. Okay? Here's my last thing that I'll say. If I was starting out, okay, and I didn't have anything, so I don't have lenses, I don't have the whole like predisposition to the layout and to the body of Canon and things like that, I would definitely go for 4K. Look for a frame rate of 24 frames. The frame rate, I think that's really important, so you can do some cinematic stuff. That sort of weird, like 60 frames per second, and just leaving it like that, it looks weird. Getting a camera that's made for video. Don't get a photography camera and start trying to make videos with it. You're going to find yourself having a lot of issues with just the functionality and the regular use of it. You're going to find some annoyances, I believe, because it wasn't made for that. Something that you can buy an aftermarket direct power option. So yes, they're all going to have batteries, but look for something that you could actually, that it has an option to actually plug in, that you can plug in, you know, and not worry about battery life and just create content freely. No overheating issues, no automatic shut off at like 30 minutes or an hour or whatever they have, no limit. A durable screen, must have a durable screen with no weird opening ways like coming this way and running into something, being able to freely turn and rotate so you could see yourself and frame yourself up in the camera if you're creating content on your own, and have it be easily protected. something durable, right? It's not made flimsily with weird little hinges. You know, Sony liked to do that. The interchangeable lens thing, I think I could let fly if I was just starting out, but I would just go for something wide. So if you're looking at the lenses and it comes with, say, a kit lens that's a tighter lens, I'd say you need to get a better lens. Something more versatile is like a 35 millimeter. 35 is good. A 35 millimeter equivalent focal length is good. I think 24 is good too. And you just want something a little bit more flexible. All right, that's it. So I think if you stick to this list, I think it's applicable for at least a couple years. And no matter what these companies are coming out with, but I feel like if you look for these things in your research, still go do your research, do your due diligence and all that stuff, you're going to end up with a solid investment in a camera that you can keep making great high quality content with. Okay? Okay. See you later. Bye.